Hey everyone, welcome to episode 41 of Qore, presented by the PlayStation Network. I'm your host, Veronica Belmont. Gotham City has always had some questionable politics, but putting all the supervillains in one part of town, well, that's just poor civic planning. It does, however, make for one very awesome game.
As with the first game, we've really done our best to kind of imbue every kind of ounce of the game with that Batman DNA.
The team at Rocksteady Studios is still riding high off the success of Arkham Asylum, but they haven't been resting on their laurels. Batman Arkham City evolves the best parts of the last game and throws you a few new batarangs as well. And from one urban war zone to another, Battlefield 3 features some huge locations, including Paris and New York.
We want the game to feel authentic, we don't want to have made-up guns or made-up features.
And the expansive maps will keep you hunting enemies for hours.
Right there! Right there!
After playing games on the couch all day, don't you just want to get up and move a little? This month, we're featuring some of our favorite new titles using the PlayStation Move. Plus, you get to see members of the Qore team shake their tail feathers. Video games can be serious business, but Tim Schafer always manages to stay in touch with gaming's silly side.
I like having fun when I'm making a game. I think that hopefully just comes through in the game itself.
We visited the Double Fine studio to talk to the man behind cult favorites like Monkey Island, Brutal Legend, and Psychonauts.
I'm supposed to think you're a nun, but I know you're really some kind of big, ugly demon, so let's have it.
And since it's almost Halloween, you didn't think Audrey would let you get away without a little Blu-ray scare, did you?
Thanks, Veronica. I've set up camp with Slasher Cinema's 3 most classic films on Blu-ray.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
All this and more in episode 41 of Qore, presented by the PlayStation Network. I'll see you on the inside.
Hola, you do new.
PlayStation.
If there is a hell, it's got nothing on this place. They turned part of the city into a prison for the criminally insane. One man sees it for what it truly is, a twisted playground where evil villains run free. The hero this place needs is a martial arts master with the most advanced arsenal of weaponry and gadgets money can buy.
This is not a time for negotiation.
After taking on a monster-sized Joker in Batman Arkham Asylum, the Dark Knight returns for an even bigger adventure. This time inside a vast prison complex known as Arkham City. To get the scoop on this new threat to the peace-loving citizens of Gotham, we piled into our Batmobile and met up with Batman Arkham City director Sefton Hill.
So since the events of Arkham Asylum, Quincy Sharp, who was the warden at Arkham Asylum, has actually run for office. He was running for office in the first game, you might remember, and he's become the mayor of Gotham City. So the first thing he's decided to do is basically he's declared Arkham Asylum isn't fit for purpose. In order to house all of the criminal element that's within Gotham, he's decided to section off a district of Gotham, kind of build a big wall around it, and basically put all of the criminal element in there.
This place is dangerous. I like it.
All of Gotham's supervillains confined within a heavily guarded area of the city? Sounds to me like a recipe for disaster.
And they kind of expect chaos to explode in there when you put in Two-Face, Joker, Riddler, Penguin. They're expecting this place to kind of go to ruin. And what actually happens is this new kind of order forms. So all of the people who get chucked in, they align to particular supervillains, and you end up with a kind of order inside. And this place has a natural kind of way, a system that starts to develop.
I only take the best. And today, best means whoever can kill you.
Because it's a walled-in slice of Gotham, Arkham City includes locations that should give fans of the Batman series a little deja vu.
So if you explore around within Arkham City, you're going to get to go to the old GCPD building that was in this area that was locked off. You're also going to get to go to the Monarch Theatre and Crime Alley behind the Monarch Theatre, back where it all began. So there's some really classic places to go. And as with the first game, we've really done our best to kind of imbue every kind of ounce of the game with that Batman DNA.
You become what you've always fought against, and I will stop you.
You won't be sightseeing empty-handed. Arkham City takes place about a year after the events in the first game, so you have the same bat gear that you collected during your time in Arkham Asylum.
So you're going to start the game with batarangs, with the bat claw, with the explosive gel, with the remote batarang, with the cryptographic sequencer. So you've got all of these great gadgets that you can use right from day one. And all of those gadgets we've beefed up as well. For example, the bat claw can now be used to grab enemies and give them a bat claw slam like a clothesline, which is a great move, double the power of a normal strike. You can also use it to fire and grab trophies from afar.
Along with enhancing Batman's arsenal of weapons, Rocksteady also used Arkham City's expansive layout to change how the game's story unfolds this time out.
You are in my world now, Batman.
One of the main things is bringing in new side missions that you can do. So basically, you can be following the main story, and we still have that kind of focused main story for you to follow. But as a player, you can also diverge off of that story and do different and interesting things as well. And that's like track down Zaz, track down serial killers. There's lots of different kind of subplots that are going on at the same time.
Arkham City also introduces a new mechanic for beating Gotham's rush hour traffic: gliding.
We've totally evolved, well, totally revolutionized actually the navigation system. So now when you're gliding around, you can glide around and use your momentum to kind of fly around the city. And I think that's something that players are really going to enjoy. You know, I mean, I think that's probably what we lose most time on at work, is just gliding around, diving, flying through the city streets and back alleyways. It's just really great fun.
As you soar above the streets, stay tuned into what's going on down below with the new surveillance scanner.
So as Batman's gliding above the city and moving around, he can actually listen to what people are saying down on the street level. And that's really important because it allows him to kind of keep in touch on one step ahead of what everyone else is doing. So he can kind of hear what the supervillains have got planned, where they're going, what they're doing, and then make sure that he's kind of adapting his behavior around that.
It would be a shame to get blood all over my nice new outfit.
With all these supervillains plotting against our hero, it's a good idea to know exactly who you're dealing with.
Who sent you?
You go strange.
So the Joker's in there, you would have seen the Joker in there. He's not looking too well at the moment. With Joker, you know, Batman knows never to trust him.
But you of all people should know, there's plenty wrong with me.
The Riddler's back, and he's out for revenge. So what Riddler's been doing is he's actually captured some people, he's holding them hostage.
Then they die.
And what Batman needs to do is to solve these traps that he set up.
Heads or tails, kitty cat?
Two-Face is in the game, and it's great to have him in the game. He was one of kind of the main characters that wasn't in the first game, and he's a character we've had great fun with.
Fear, that's how we get respect.
I think the golden rule with Catwoman is she's always looking out for number one. So with Batman distracted in Arkham City, she's going to be looking to see what she can do, what she can get out of the situation. So what's nice is you're going to actually get to play some of that. So you're going to get to take a walk on the wild side. You're going to get to control Catwoman and play Catwoman missions, which is seamlessly interwoven with Batman's story.
This is gonna hurt.
And when you've worked with the Batman as long as these guys, you tend to understand him better than the average citizen of Gotham ever will.
Yeah, he goes around and he knocks people out, and he has this great combat, and he's like the world's greatest martial artist. He's combined all these martial arts from around the world, but also deep down at heart, he does have this kind of psychological trauma that he's trying to overcome. You know, if he has a superpower, it's just his level of dedication and commitment to what he believes in.
And let's not forget his remote control batarang. This superhero-sized adventure promises even more action, sleuthing, and puzzle solving than its predecessor. There's a massive city to explore with an epic story that rivals anything Batman's faced before.
I'm taking you down too.
The only way to find out who's really in control is to don your batsuit, tell Alfred to hold all your calls, and go inside the most dangerous place in the history of Gotham, Batman: Arkham City. Fighter jets, tanks, drones, jeeps. Boys will always have their toys. Don't just pick one, collect them all. Tapping the intense power of these monster vehicles. And don't forget the handheld arsenal, like rockets and assault rifles. For the boys and girls inside us all, Battlefield 3 makes the whole world your playground. Patrick Bach, executive producer with EA Dice, took us through basic training on this single and multiplayer shooter.
Right there! Right there!
It's been a long time since we released Battlefield 2. It's been since 2006. But this is now going back to the core of the Battlefield series, where we go back to jets, going prone, more deeper and more authentic gameplay, and actually bringing all the good things back from Battlefield 2. We have so many vehicles in Battlefield. There's plenty. There are jeeps that are small and fast that can take you from one end to the map to the other. Then you have the tanks, which I find very interesting because you feel really powerful, like the big dragon that can take out anyone, but also being a sitting duck in a way for infantry with RPGs, for instance. So there's this rock, paper, scissors gameplay with our vehicles that is very interesting. And with Battlefield 3, we're actually deepening the gameplay with the vehicles by adding a lot of cool features. We're adding infrared scopes for tanks, for instance, where you can easily find enemies even in a very dusty environment, and things like that actually adds even more to the depth. Battlefield is in its core a game with both infantry and vehicles, and also the balance of vehicles versus infantry is key, because we don't want people to only be good at Battlefield by being fast and have twitch skill. We want people to use their personalities and their intelligence as well as their twitch skill to be successful in Battlefield.
You'll decide how to play in any situation, especially in multiplayer games with up to 24 people.
One thing that you could do is just think strategically on how to help your teammates. We have roles in the game where you can play as a medic or you use a medic kit. That's a part of the assault kit nowadays. So you're on the front line, but you have your med kit to throw out to your friends. So there's a lot of people actually only playing the supportive roles where they actually help people to win the matches. There's a lot of depth for the players that want to live the fantasy of being on a battlefield, but not only running and gunning and shooting people in the face.
However you roll, DICE wants to keep it real.
We want the game to feel authentic. We don't want to have made-up guns or made-up features that just just for the sake of it. But we are very meticulous when it comes to modeling weapons and vehicles, so they're truly like for like. It's really interesting because there's so many different angles on how you actually wear your gear in real life. If you look at the kind of basic military setup, that's not how people look on the field. They also always personalize their gear to get this kind of skewed look when you look at a bunch of soldiers that has been out in the field for a couple of months, and that's the authentic feeling we wanted when we built our soldiers.
There's commencing charge on my mark.
And on top of that, of course, we need the animations to look real. And we have a new animation engine that we're using in the Frostbite 2 engine that is called Ant. And it's actually being used by the FIFA game as well. So if you think the FIFA game looks authentic and real when they run around on the pitch, we're using the same technology. So we get this super authentic movement of characters, both in single player and multiplayer.
And you'll pick what to do in the great-looking setting.
Well, Battlefield has always been a sandbox game when it comes to the multiplayer, where you can do whatever you want and always find another way around the enemy. Then again, we want different parts of the game to focus on different things. So multiplayer is of course a very sandbox experience. Depending on game mode, it's more or less sandbox. Single player, we try to also in the narrative make a drama with the sandbox experience. So sometimes it's more linear and sometimes it opens up and becomes a very sandbox experience.
That open world style even applies to what you choose to destroy.
It's a very hard thing to design around. You need to be aware of that. Every wall that looks breakable will be able to break. If someone is hiding in a house and you have a RPG, you can just blow that wall away and expose the enemy, or even better, hit him. And again, I think it's important to understand that how we do this is by building our own engine. We can take down full buildings, facades. Of course, tank shells blows holes not only in houses but also in the ground. And everything has an impact of some kind, because if you have a big gun, you should be able to make a big hole.
Go through it, Miller! Don't slow down!
Now we say it's the graphics and the glory, but how does DICE define the Battlefield recipe?
The core is actually more based on the balance of the game, how the rock, paper, scissors kind of gameplay is more or less perfectly balanced. So it doesn't really matter how you play the game or who you are. You can always find your role on the battlefield, and if the enemy changes his tactics, you can always change your tactics to adapt to that.
Battlefield 3 somehow includes dozens of vehicles and weapons without feeling one-sided. Whether you prefer single or multiplayer games, there's a sense of unique openness. Oh, and the big toys. You've got to feel that power for yourself. abandoned fairground returns to life in Carnival Island. This game, aimed at kids and families, brings the best of the Midway home, without any overbearing carnies or fattening funnel cake.
Great!
You'll experience 35 games and activities for up to 4 players. There's a lot to explore. Since the Move controller can track you accurately, just step right up and you'll know the mechanic to play.
Well done!
It's all intuitive. Like, you can toss rings horizontally or flip them end over end, and the game follows your moves.
Awesome.
Much of the fun is in discovering all the games. Flying Frogs is one of our favorites. It's just something about a frog taking to the skies, you know, it just gets ya.
Well done.
A few creative additional attractions, like the Funhouse Mirror, just let you stop and play together. You can even save and share pictures. As you tour the full island, you'll earn prize tickets from games.
Yay!
Redeem these for souvenirs while awakening up the 35 different pets. These creatures, a panda, jellyfish, raccoon, and more, trot alongside your character, rooting for your success. How many can you collect? Pitch-perfect move controls go together with Carnival Island like caramel and apples. The bite-sized challenges and twists give the variety of a fair. There's something for everyone. A young crowd can jump right in, but the addictive gameplay and carnival nostalgia can snag us big kids too. You gotta get up if you want to boogie down. Everybody Dance turns any gathering into a party. It's got a solid beat on the dancing game basics, and it builds into a multiplayer game like no other. Grab the Move controller and follow the on-screen steps. Unlike other dancing games, Sony London Studios shot video of real performers, so you can see exactly how the pros feel the groove. Look at me, I'm dancing. Call in the whole crew. Up to 20 people can battle, taking turns in pairs to see who's the best in party mode. Or challenge a single friend, or team up in a choreographed partner mode, where each of your moves interact. So graceful. Then post your clips on Facebook and Twitter. Everybody Dance is a social animal. Even wildflowers can get involved. Get the audience pumped and singing along for bonus points. The words to any of the 40 bundled songs are right there on the screen, below the original music video. Although, you might not need them for this one. And once you master the steps, try out making your own choreography. You can create a routine in any song and challenge friends to match your moves. Everybody Dance puts a new spin on dancing games. So dry clean your old parachute pants and get pumped. It's time to hit the floor. iPet and Friends lets you cuddle with an AI creature in augmented reality. It puts you into the game and layers the pets on a video feed from the PlayStation Eye. You'll train the adorable iPets, care for them, play games, and much more. While it's aimed at a younger crowd, iPet could be a good choice for families or siblings to play together. For the first time, 2 people can play with 2 pets simultaneously. Many activities will bond you or your kids with the pets. You can teach them tricks, give them a bath, feed them, and just play with a handful of toys. Who's your good pet? You are! You'll direct your pet through the games, playing basketball, driving a boat, diving in a submarine, and more. You can challenge a friend in many of these games too, or maybe you just want to play without goals. Several open-ended modes let you stack up blocks the pets can play on top of, or just let them run and play without any obstacles. Throughout all of the play modes, you can take pictures of your pets and share progress with friends online. iPet and Friends pairs creative kids and families with playful creatures. It's cool to see it come together in augmented reality. We just can't stay away from those cute little faces. Planet 2 with move controls? Yes please. But what took so long for this move-enabled download pack? Media Molecule wanted to do it right, naturally. With your Move controller in hand, you can now play through the entire game's original campaign, or tackle more than a dozen new levels and mini-games in the new story mode. It's the biggest Little Big Planet download pack ever. A bunch of new controls and tools for creating levels put the Move in focus. For example, the new story introduces the Brain Crane power-up. This lets Sackboy use his mind, while you drive the Move pointer, to levitate objects and control the world. That's how Uri Geller did it. So much of Little Big Planet is in its customization. Like before, you can make your own levels or download content from the game's huge community. But with Move controls, the endless possibilities get even, endlesser.
That was breathtaking.
Point and swipe with the new paint tool to create and apply new stickers, adjust gradients, choose colors, and more. It's like a little mini Photoshop in there. The motion recorder controls background characters like puppets. Manipulate them however you like, and the game can play back animations when you want, later. The Move just works better when building and playing certain puzzles, like the cursor control opens new options. Point, twist, whatever. It's more natural than thumbsticks in most situations. There are so many possibilities. You could even create games with a swinging mechanic, like golf. Try the Movinator to get deep into the controls, even tapping into the one-to-one move support to translate your actions into immediate on-screen results. The Little Big Planet 2 Move download pack adds so much content, and it just feels right. It's a natural extension to your Sackboy's big adventure. The hack and slash and shoot and throwing star journey, Medieval Moves, Deadman's Quest, has interesting roots. Sports Champions developer, Zindagi Games, extends its technical background creating frisbee golf, archery, and the other mini-games into a story-based Move adventure. As Prince Deadmond, you need to reverse a spell that has turned all of your subjects into a skeleton army. And unfortunately, you've fallen to the same magic. You've got to fight through your bony brethren to restore order to the kingdom once again. Combat is the game's centerpiece. You'll use the Move controller to swipe your sword, block with a shield, draw back and release with the bow, and fling throwing stars. Zing! The game tracks your gestures closely. Instead of playing some canned animation, your actions appear on screen. You'll see how subtle changes impact the in-game results. You don't even need an inventory button. The game knows which weapon works with each distinct movement. The single-player story should take at least 8 to 10 hours, or more if you try to snare all of the game's collectibles. But the adventure continues with a friend, either on the same PlayStation or online. Challenge your pal to a duel, attacking and blocking with a range of weapons. 'Tis merely a flesh wound. Or team up in standalone co-op missions, where you work towards a shared goal. Medieval Moves Deadman's Quest lets you hack at enemies with a swipe of your virtual blade. Sometimes the old ways are best. drunken pirates, dancing skeletons, babushka dolls, and Ozzy Osbourne?
Well, it's about in time.
Well, what do these things have in common, you ask?
I think I know.
The answer is one fine, no, double fine piece of work named Tim Schafer. From the grog-drenched shores of Monkey Island to the enigmatic depths of the human mind, Tim's games probe some of the most offbeat corners of the gaming cosmos. We caught up with a LucasArts alum at his studio in San Francisco to hear the stories that shaped a humble programmer into a game development legend. Give us a Tim Schafer origin story. How did you get your start in the gaming world?
Well, I always played video games all my life growing up, and that got me into programming because I wanted to make my own games. And then I just happened to see this job at LucasArts, which was amazing. So I applied and I got the job.
That was in 1989, back when LucasArts dominated the adventure game genre with some of the most innovative games ever to hit the home computer. And Tim Schafer was right there in the middle of all that SCUM engine awesomeness, co-designing the classic Secret of Monkey Island.
Where do you think you're going, fancy pants?
We were in the office together, and a lot of the writing process was like writing and then checking out each other's writing and laughing. If it made someone laugh, you would keep it. And so it was like a funny environment where we were just trying to make each other crack up all day long. So I think it got more and more ridiculous as it went on, which was like probably the secret to why it became totally ridiculous in the end.
Intimidating, me, but I'm your friend.
Where did you get the idea for Grim Fandango? It's such an unusual game.
I had taken a course in folklore at college, and one of them was the Day of the Dead. We studied that, and I thought it was really interesting. I was thinking about crime in the afterworld, and so you never really think about crime after you're dead, but it's apparently quite a problem. So that led to this noir-type afterworld crime story.
Oh, I can't leave here until I've worked off a little debt to the powers that be.
After a decade at LucasArts, Tim broke out on his own to co-found Double Fine Productions in 2000. His first major release was Psychonauts, the hilarious head trip about a summer camp for psychics that makes us think the movie Inception owes Schafer some props.
You shall live his nightmare.
Psychonauts was the kind of game that you could try almost anything in because it was set in the world of people's minds, like inside their psyches where anything could happen. Like a character you meet on the street or someone you know in your personal life and you wonder what it's like inside their head, that could be a level in Psychonauts. So you just get idea after idea could go into that game. And it did. We took them all. We put them all in there.
I usually don't want to know what's inside the heads of people I know. It's a dark places. For Double Fine's second big release, Tim went from mindbenders to metal heads in 2009 with Brutal Legend.
Bring on the impalement.
Starring Jack Black as a heavy metal roadie sent to save humanity from supernatural overlords.
So, you want to help me fight demons and stuff?
Besides it being a dream come true for me to actually work in the world of heavy metal, which I loved ever since I was a kid, getting to meet my childhood heroes of like Ozzy Osbourne, Rob Halford, I got to meet Lemmy and worked with like Lita Ford and Jack Black, who was just such a fun character to work with.
I'll just get right to the ass kicking.
Most recently, Tim and his team have produced popular downloadables, titles that unmistakably retain Schafer's signature brand of humor.
Costume Quest is a role-playing game set on Halloween night where you have to stop the monsters who are trying to steal all the candy from your neighborhood and also rescue your sibling who's been kidnapped. Stacking is an adventure game set in a world populated by Russian dolls, where you play the smallest Russian doll of all, and you can jump inside of other nesting dolls, bigger. Each doll has a special ability that you can then execute when you're in that doll. So you use those different abilities to solve puzzles.
What is it about downloadable titles that you like?
Well, when you're doing a smaller game, you find yourself with the opportunity to take a chance at something unusual or new, or something like a role-playing game set on Halloween night, or a game where all the characters are Russian dolls. And it's just easier to take a chance on something unproven, which I think is really fun and speaks to the strength of the studio.
Would you say that your humor is the thing that kind of binds all the games you've worked on together? Is that your trademark?
Maybe, I hope so. I think I like having fun when I'm making a game, and I think that hopefully just comes through in the game itself.
I like this one.
And I like working with fun people, and we really do, when we're brainstorming for ideas for these games, try to have a good time and try and crack each other up.
What are some of the best parts about working here?
You know, you hope it's the creative freedom to do crazy stuff, make games like we make, which you don't get to make everywhere, you know, and then there's a free soda. So those two things together.
you do to be prepared to meet with the people at LucasArts?
I had kind of blown the phone interview because I had told them I played one of their games, but I used the name Ball Blaster, which is what it was called when it was pirated. So I kind of confessed that I pirated their games on accident.
Oops.
So I thought I had kind of blown it, so I kind of didn't have anything to lose. So I made a cover letter, which was supposed to describe my ideal job. That's all it said. So I made a text adventure out of it, and I drew these drawings, really, really bad art. I mean, great art, and then a text adventure of me trying to find my ideal job. So go into Career Center, open, and I just told the story of me getting this job, and it was 3 pages long. And I think that's what got their attention and got me in there to get a job. I don't know how I got that job. I don't know. It was very lucky. That's my advice to everyone. Get really lucky.
Hey there, horror fans, Audrey here, and have we got a Blu-ray spotlight for you this month? While we tick down the days to the unholiest of holidays, what better way to scare up the Halloween spirit than a fresh look at Slasher Cinema's 3 most classic films? No movie screams Halloween more than, well, Halloween.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
John Carpenter's indie hit scared the living crap out of your parents back in the theaters in 1978. Today, the Blu-ray breathes new life into this classic slasher, most notably in video quality, showing major resolution improvements over all previous NTSC versions. Michael Myers will haunt you all over again now that he's back to life in 1080p, but it's really during the film's daylight scenes of young Jamie Lee Curtis walking home from school when the vibrant new picture will have you forget just how dated this flick is.
Hey, jerk! Speed kills!
Okay, maybe not for long. Bonus features are a little slim, but with the audio commentary with Carpenter, Jamie Lee, and the film's producer Deborah Hill, plus a making-of featurette and the option to play the movie with pop-up trivia, die-hard fans will definitely find something new to refresh conversations about Halloween truly being the most quintessential slasher film of all time. Ah, that music. On Halloween's bloodstained coattails was the film that ruined camping for generations of teenagers, especially the randy ones. 1980's Friday the 13th featured a fresh-faced Kevin Bacon, but no point in playing his 6 Degrees game with this one, folks. None of the other actors graduated to very much else, which is probably why they were available to take part in this reunion featured in the Blu-ray Uncut edition.
He sent me the script, I read it, and I said, what a piece of
Friday the 13th didn't win over many critics like Halloween did, but no one can argue with the franchise's massive success. Watch the man behind the legacy, Sean S. Cunningham, for a solid sit-down feature with the director.
If you're going to go see Friday the 13th, you knew what you were going to get.
Discussing the influence the film has had on his life, the film's purpose, the making of the special effects, and his thoughts on the gazillion sequels.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you?
And another goofy little bonus is Lost Tales from Camp Blood, a dimly lit short where a couple is killed by Jason. Or was it Mrs. Voorhees?
Killer.
Last, we come to the movie that gave us the dreamiest fella on our list, one Sir Frederick Krueger.
Krueger? Well, it ain't Dr. Seuss.
In 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street took the slasher genre far outside the box and into our dreams by introducing a new, terrifying kind of boogeyman, preying on us while we're asleep.
Don't fall asleep.
Murdering Psycho is one thing, but Freddy was a straight-up jerk. Never Sleep Again is a comprehensive making-of documentary that looks at writer-director Wes Craven's background and previous films, the creation of Freddy Krueger, casting the parts, special effects, Robert Englund's performance, the extensive stunt work, and that's just naming a few. Then there's The House That Freddy Built, a feature examining A Nightmare on Elm Street's impact on the horror genre, along with an overview of the various films in the Nightmare franchise.
I think with the third movie, that's where they really came up with the kind of one-line quip before he kills somebody.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV.
Rounding out the extras is a featurette called Night Terrors, where you can watch a host of professionals discuss the trippy world of dreams.
What the hell are dreams anyway?
And finally, you can judge 3 alternate endings that maybe were smart to leave on the cutting room floor. There you have it, horror fans, a trifecta of terror for your Blu-ray library just in time for your pre-Halloween movie night. You know, the one where you pretend to go get more popcorn and show up to the window in a hockey mask. That's all we have for Blu-ray for now. I'm Audrey, and I'll be right back.